Millionaire discovers heartwarming connection at Café when black waitress uses sign language with deaf customer. James Connolly sat in the bustling café, espresso brewing in the background, the aroma of roasted beans mixing with the chatter of a community gathered around him. He was the millionaire tech mogul, the man who seemingly had it all: money, success, an empire at his fingertips, but inside, he felt an emptiness echoing louder than the bustling space around him. Amongst all his wealth, a hollow ache settled deep within, leaving him craving something more than the quarterly profits that had become his only heartbeat. Then, as if the cosmos conspired to shake him awake, Lisa entered his world. She moved gracefully between tables, her smile warm and genuine, as if she carried sunshine with her. When she approached a group, a deaf customer caught her eye. With effortless communication, she used sign language, her hands dancing and her expression rich with understanding. James watched, captivated by the way she connected so effortlessly to another human being. It brought a swell to his chest, a flicker of hope. He leaned in closer, his gaze never leaving Lisa. Over the next few weeks, James found himself gravitating to the café more often. Each day, he watched Lisa weave stories into her conversations, her struggles as a single mother after losing her husband, a veteran who fought battles beyond the battlefield. She shared dreams of going back to school, her voice a soft melody laced with resilience. Every interaction filled him with an emotion he hadn't known he was missing. Each word she spoke helped chip away at the icy isolation he'd built around himself for years. That he became a part of the community, but his privilege always loomed over him. Even as he drank his latte next to neighbors discussing their lives, there lay an unbridgeable gap. The café buzzed with friendship and laughter. It reminded James of everything he lacked. He was a millionaire trying to connect with people whose daily lives showcased struggle and strength. And as the café braced itself for change, his heart raced with uncertainty. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Then the news hit, the café was being sold. Its charming atmosphere threatened to be crushed under the weight of upscale renovations. James felt his heart race as Lisa confided her fears of losing her job. The warmth wrapped around him began to fray and snap. Suddenly, the place that had become his sanctuary was in danger, and he felt a surge of uncharacteristic determination. He knew he could buy the café, but as those thoughts crystallized, panic coursed through him. Would that be enough? Would they see him as some wealthy savior or just another outsider throwing money to solve their problems? James grappled with guilt, realizing that he couldn't merely throw money at a situation like this, his past actions haunting him. His quest for connection had missed the mark, and he feared Lisa and the community would never see him as anything but the privileged billionaire. And as he pondered this dilemma, the clock ticked endlessly on. Would he find a way to bridge the chasm between their worlds, or would he lose the last chance he had for real connection? The emotional stakes rose every second, pulsing with energy. His heart raced with uncertainty as he took a deep breath and prepared to leap into the unknown. James couldn't shake the weight of the café's impending closure. He felt like he was losing more than just a favorite spot, he was losing the thread of connection that had started to stitch his life back together. The more he observed Lisa, the more he saw not just a waitress, but a woman who held a community's pulse in her hands. The conversations, the laughter, the compassion she extended, they spoke to him in ways his business deals never could. The day after he heard about the sale, he returned to the café earlier than usual. The morning sun filtered in through the windows, casting a warm glow that felt comforting. Lisa was already there, her hands moving quickly as she took orders, a bright smile lighting up her face. He settled into his usual corner, the moment feeling charged. "Hey, James," Lisa called out, her voice a delightful melody that broke through his thoughts. "You made it for coffee today. Yeah, I didn't want to miss my chance, he replied, forcing a smile even as concern nagged at him. They exchanged friendly pleasantries, but James couldn't keep his worries to himself. He took a deep breath, his heart pounding as if preparing for a big presentation. Lisa, he began, I heard about the cafe being sold. I wanted to talk to you about it. Her expression shifted, the brightness dimming for just a moment. I know, it's hard. This place has been like a second home to so many of us. Would it help if I told you I'm considering buying it? James blurted out, watching hope and caution fight for her attention. Lisa blinked, genuinely surprised. You? James, wait, let me finish. I know it sounds like a drastic move. I don't want to just swoop in and be the big guy saving the day. I want to make it a community place again, one that feels like home, where you and everyone else can thrive. She paused, studying him with wary eyes. It's just money doesn't fix everything. What if it doesn't work out? What if you do it for the right reasons, but end up changing things for the worse? James's heart sank. He had prepared for this. I get it. But I'm willing to put in more than money. I want to listen, to learn. You've helped me see what this place really means. I can't do this alone. Lisa's gaze softened, and he thought he finally saw a flicker of hope. You really mean that? Absolutely. I don't want to be just a businessman, I want to be a part of this community. I want us to collaborate. A silence settled between them, heavy yet filled with unspoken possibilities. He held his breath, waiting for her to respond. He could hear the cafe alive around them, the laughter of regulars, the smell of baked goods wafting through the air, but in this moment, the world faded to a quiet hum. Lisa's expression shifted, a mix of excitement and fear written all over her face. What if you're in for more than you expect? People will ask why you care, and you need to have the answers ready. James nodded firmly. Then I'll find those answers. I won't let you down. I promise. With a cautious smile, she replied, okay, let us see what we can do together. True to her word, that spark set it off. An idea formed inside him, a plan blooming against the odds. They could make something beautiful happen. As the days passed, they would meet often, building on that foundation. Yet, deep inside, James still battled the question, would true community ever accept someone like him? And just as he felt he was on the cusp of something transformative, a shadow loomed. A heavy-set figure appeared at the entrance, eyes surveying the room. All at once, seated on natural or against the weight of dollars, there stood a man who looked too much like trouble. What was he doing there? James felt the tension tighten in his chest, the cafe's future hung in the balance. And when the man locked eyes with Lisa, an uneasy silence enveloped the room. What was about to unfold? The cafe still hummed with life around them, but all that energy seemed to converge upon the heavy-set man standing at the entrance. His presence cut through the familiar sounds of clinking cups and low chatter. James felt every eye in the room drift toward him, including Lisa's. Who is that? He whispered, unable to peel his gaze away. Lisa's brow furrowed. That's Carl. He used to hang around here a lot. Before her voice trailed off, sadness creeping into her tone. Before what? James pressed, feeling an urgency to understand. Before he started causing problems, Lisa responded softly, lowering her voice. He's not someone who has a good reputation. Sometimes he tries to bully people into giving him free food or drinks. James clenched his fists under the table, a mix of anger and protectiveness rising within him. Do you think he's here for trouble? A shiver ran down Lisa's spine as she watched Carl move deeper into the cafe. I think he's just trying to intimidate people. He knows this place is special to all of us. Despite the fear churning in the pit of her stomach and all the hesitation weighing on her, Lisa rose from her seat. I'll handle it, she declared, her voice steady. A wave of admiration washed over James. Wait. Let me do it, he said, rising as well. No, James, I can do this. I've dealt with him before. Just stay here. James felt torn. Perhaps he should have been more supportive, more reassuring. But as he watched Lisa walk toward Carl, he couldn't help but feel a rush of pride. Her bravery pulsed through the air, another stitch in the fabric of community that was the cafe. The moment stretched, a stillness wrapping around them as Lisa came face to face with the imposing figure. Carl, not today, she stated firmly, her expression inscrutable. Carl chuckled, though the sound was empty. Oh, Lisa. Look at you, acting like you own the place. Thought you folks were closing down anyway. James moved closer, the tension buzzing in his veins. He didn't want to stand by while the people he cherished were threatened, even if it meant stepping ahead in a way he never thought he would. Lisa held her ground, refusing to back down. This place is more than just a cafe to us. Back off. Carl stepped closer, staring her down. In that moment, the cafe felt smaller, the threat looming larger than just one man. James could see familiar faces from the regulars who often filled the cafe, their expressions a mix of concern and fear. I think you are mistaken about your little community, Carl taunted, grinning cruelly. This place belongs to me too, like everyone else who comes here for something. James couldn't quiet the instinct inside him any longer. He stepped forward, voice low but urgent. You don't belong here if you're only here to threaten and frighten others, Carl. The atmosphere crackled as all eyes turned to him. Carl's grin faded, fury flaring in his eyes. And who are you? Just a guy thinking he can play the hero? Yes, James replied, his heart racing, pulse louder than the commotion of the cafe. I'm someone who believes in this space and its people. If you're here to disrupt that, then you need to leave. For a heartbeat, silence enveloped them. Lisa's eyes darted toward James, uncertainty mixing with appreciation. He could sense the community's breath held tightly in the moment, caught between fear and the potential of standing united. Finally, Carl snorted, waving them off. You think you can just walk in and change everything? This place will always be mine to play with. With that, he turned on his heel, stalking towards the exit. Relief washed over James, but it was tinged with unease. Would Carl truly leave them alone? Lisa moved back to him, shaking slightly but with a smile that could light up the whole room. You were amazing, she said, genuine awe in her voice. Thanks, but I think we'll be dealing with him again. Maybe, but we'll deal with it together. As they sat down, the cafe buzzing back to life around them, James took a moment to let everything settle. Could he really protect this place? Did Lisa's response mean they were stronger together? Yet, amidst the chatter and the fragrance of fresh coffee, one troubling thought clung to him. What if Carl returned, threatening more than just their cafe? Tonight, he wouldn't just be James the businessman, he would become James the protector. Would that be enough? James couldn't shake the feeling as the cafe buzzed back to life, laughter and friendly banter slowly filling the air again. He stole a glance at Lisa, her eyes still bright despite the adrenaline of the confrontation. It amazed him how she held herself so strong, and the sheer warmth of her smile made him feel lighter, yet behind that smile lay a concern that twisted in his gut. Carl hadn't cracked under pressure, and a thought crossed his mind: what if this was only the beginning? Carl's dark presence lingered like a storm cloud. He could return, and next time, who would stand up for them? I can't believe you faced him like that, Lisa said, her voice weaving through his thoughts. You really put yourself out there. I just did what felt right, he replied, but his words felt hollow. The gravity of the situation weighed heavily. But I don't think he's just gonna walk away. Maybe not, Lisa conceded, her hands resting on the table between them. But we have to unite. We can't let him ruin this place. It's too important. James nodded. He admired her resolve, but his mind was already racing with possibilities. Would a united front be enough against someone like Carl, whose anger seemed to simmer just beneath the surface? As if reading his thoughts, Lisa leaned closer, her voice softening. You know, we could organize a meeting with the regulars. If everyone knows we're behind each other, maybe he'll think twice. Her suggestion sparked something within him, a flicker of hope mixed with determination. That could work. We'll have to show him that his bullying won't be tolerated. This place is ours, and we care about it too much to let that happen. The cafe felt alive around them, familiar faces chatting and sipping from their mugs. Many people had found refuge here. It wasn't just coffee or pastries they shared, it was a sense of belonging. A safety net woven together through shared struggles and joyful moments. Let us do it, James said, his heart rising with the idea. We'll call everyone. We'll have to show Carl that he can't scare us. Exactly. Lisa's eyes lit up, and in that moment, he could see the community spirit blooming like a flower breaking through concrete. As they began to plan silently, an unexpected sound broke their concentration, a soft giggle followed by the sound of a chair scraping against the floor. James turned to find a waitress, an older woman with deep laugh lines and kind eyes. She lifted her head and caught their attention. She was looking at a pair of children, one of whom held a small stuffed animal. The children's eyes sparkled with curiosity. They were waving friendly greetings, lit up by whatever excitement bubbled within them. The waitress knelt down beside them, her voice gentle and friendly. James noticed her eyes darting to Lisa before she began signing to the kids, her hands moving fluidly through the air. That small gesture whispered volumes to James, the way the waitress communicated without words, bridging gaps in understanding, fostering connection. In her, he saw the very heart of community that they were trying to protect. What if we use that? James whispered to Lisa, a new idea forming. The way she's connecting without speaking. It shows strength in diversity, right? We could really bring people together. Lisa watched the waitress, captivated by the interaction. You're right, it's about more than just facing Carl. It's about cherishing this place for all the different ways we come together. But suddenly, the warmth faded slightly when they spotted Carl slink back into the cafe, his eyes searching the crowd. It was clear he was ready to make his presence known again. James felt his heartbeat quicken, dread washing over him as he turned back to Lisa. He's here, he said quietly, tension snapping back into the atmosphere like a taut string, and in that moment, a strong realization hit him. They couldn't just hope their unity would shield them. They had to act, understanding that real courage often meant standing together when it mattered most. Would they have the strength to do it again? Would their hearts unite against Carl, once and for all? James's stomach churned as he locked eyes with Carl. The man swaggered in like he owned the place, with a smug grin that sent shivers racing down James's spine. He could sense the tension in the air like static before a storm. Looks like trouble just walked in, Lisa whispered, her voice barely audible. Her hands gripped the edge of the table, tension evident in her posture. James squeezed her hand, trying to convey strength through his touch. We need to stay calm, he urged, though his own heart raced. Don't let him see us sweat. Carl glanced around, and when his eyes landed on them, a flicker of satisfaction brightened his expression. It was a warning sign that this confrontation wasn't over, the game was just beginning. Hey, James. Carl called out, striding across the cafe like a dark storm front moving in. Didn't he know you were going to start a little protest in here? How cute. His laughter echoed, mocking. James felt anger bubble inside him, but he forced himself to hold back. Challenging Carl now wouldn't help them. Instead, he thought of everyone around them, the regulars, the families, the folks who made this place a home. That's not what this is about, Carl, James replied, keeping his voice steady. We just want to enjoy our time here, like everyone else. Carl leaned in closer, his breath hot with confrontation. You really think you can just chase me off? This is a tough world, kid. You better know how to fight your battles. He smirked, relishing the emotion he was invoking, but rather than letting Carl's words take root, James looked towards Lisa. She appeared unfazed. Instead of flinching, she seemed to draw strength from the energy in the room, the way she had earlier when the waitress had signed to the kids. Maybe we don't need to fight you, she spoke up, looking directly at Carl, her voice filled with quiet confidence. Maybe we'll simply show everyone why we're here and what we value instead. Carl raised an eyebrow, surprised by her defiance. What are you going to do? Bake cookies for your cause? But James could feel the shift. The cafe had begun to settle around them. It was as if the shared history had formed an invisible wall against Carl's spite. Regulars were now glancing over, some whispering to each other, their curiosity piqued. That's actually a great idea, Carl, Lisa shot back, a playful glimmer in her eyes. We could bake cookies together. That might teach us all a little about community. James couldn't help but chuckle at the absurdity. Lisa had just reframed the situation entirely. It wasn't about confrontation anymore, it was about connection. Something shifted in the room, and Carl's bravado wavered, but Carl wasn't done. You think you can save this place with cookies and smiles? You don't get it, do you? People like me don't back down easily. Then maybe we'll show everyone how we stand together, Lisa said, her voice rising with the courage of the crowd she could feel behind her. Carl's grin faltered. Good luck with that, he huffed, stepping back, but James could see his frustration simmering. I'll be around. As Carl stalked away, James felt the air around them shift. The weight of fear lightened as murmurs spread among the cafe's patrons. He glanced around and saw nods of understanding, a shared conviction beginning to ripple through them. Did you see that? He said, awe-infused as he turned back to Lisa. People are starting to wake up. They're channeling that energy to stand with us. Exactly. Lisa exclaimed, her excitement bursting through. This isn't just about us anymore. We can escalate this show, Carl, that will band together no matter what. But just as the weight of their newfound resolve began to lift their spirits, the door swung open once more. Someone stepped inside, their silhouette framed by the bright sunlight outside. Immediately, the laughter and chatter fell silent. You're not going to believe who just walked in, James said breathlessly, dread creeping back into his voice. As the figure stepped forward, a mixture of disbelief and fear coursed through him. It was someone from James's past, someone he had hoped never to see again. Would this be another storm pushing the cafe to the brink? Because what lay ahead would either forge their unity stronger or test its very limits. The sunlight poured in behind the newcomer, illuminating their face. James couldn't believe it. Lena. His childhood friend, the one who slipped out of his life without warning. The years fell away for a moment as he remembered her laughter, her spirit that could light up the darkest of rooms. But now, her presence felt like a bomb dropped into the already tense atmosphere, each patron in the cafe frozen in time. James? Lena's voice sliced through the silence. It was tentative, almost unsure. The collective energy in the cafe shifted again, eyes darting between James and Lena. Would this old wound reopen, or would it finally find healing among them? Yeah, it's me, he replied, forcing a smile that didn't feel real. What are you doing here? The weight of the question lingered between them. Lena's gaze moved past him, taking in the scene. She must have sensed the tension, the impending storm created by Carl's earlier bravado. It's a long story, she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper, but it carried the weight of years lost and buried feelings. I came back to. A voice interrupted. Great, just great, said Carl, who had apparently hung around just long enough to catch the reunion. Now we've got another one ready to save the cafe. What should we do? Form a group or something? James felt the heat rise in his cheeks. Lena's return had stirred something inside him he thought was long gone, but her presence acted as both a spark and a flare. "Back off, Carl," Lisa stepped forward, defiance in her stance. "This is not your playground anymore." Carl chuckled, but there was an edge of doubt creeping in. "Really? You think that is going to stop me?" Lena took a bold step ahead, a glimmer of the confident girl James had known. "This is more than a playground. This is a community," she said, her hand gesturing broadly at the patrons of the cafe who were now watching, some nodding in quiet unity. "And it's time we showed you what that means." With every word, James felt his heart race. Could she be the catalyst they needed? With Lena's return, they could forge a stronger connection with the people around them. The cafe, once a haven from the world's chaos, was transforming into a battleground, one that they could actually fight together. Carl's smirk faltered. "This is only a small cafe. Your little movement won't change anything." "Maybe not," James interjected, standing as tall as he could muster. "But it's a start. And it's enough." The patrons began to stir, whispers mixing with laughter, disbelief morphing slowly into resolve. The cafe no longer felt like a battleground, but a sanctuary where dreams could take shape, where they could stand together against intimidation. "Let us bake those cookies," James echoed Lisa's earlier remark, his heart swelling with a newfound hope. "Let us create a sign-up sheet for a meeting. We can host community events. We can make this place a home again." "And I can help," Lena chimed in, her eyes bright and full of possibility. "I've got connections. I know people who can contribute. We can do so much good right here." Just as James felt their collective momentum building, Carl unleashed his last shot. "Enjoy your little cookies. I'll be waiting," he sneered, backing away slowly. As he turned and left, the cafe erupted into spirited chatter. Encouragement filled the air and laughter overflowed. They were taking this back. "Did you really mean that?" Lisa asked James, her eyes wide with excitement. "About the cookies and everything?" "More than anything," he answered, his heart racing again, this time from exhilaration. "We'll show him what community really looks like." But just before they could bask in the moment of triumph, James felt his phone buzz in his pocket. He pulled it out, reading an incoming message, a chill running down his spine. It was a warning, one that hinted Carl wasn't the only trouble lurking close. "Guys, we need to talk because this isn't over." The fear in the air returned, mingling with hope. What other storm was brewing on the horizon? James stared at his phone, the words on the screen blasting cold air into the warmth that had begun to swirl around them. He felt the buzz of his heart, mixing with the chatter filling the cafe, but for some reason, all he could hear was the low hum of anxiety creeping back in. He looked up, meeting Lena's questioning gaze. "Who is that?" she asked, sensing the shift in his demeanor. It's Carl," James stammered, uncertain. "He's threatening something. I didn't expect to hear from him again so soon." Lena's brow furrowed. "What kind of threat?" "Just a vague hint that things aren't over," he hesitated, gripping the phone a little too tightly. "It makes me wonder what he's planning. It's like he's waiting for the right moment to strike." Lisa, hovering close by, picked up on the tension. "Let us not get ahead of ourselves. We just told him what we're capable of, he's probably just trying to scare us. But what if he's not? What if he doesn't take this lying down?" James shot back, a flicker of his earlier determination dimming. "Listen," Lena said, stepping closer. "Whatever he's plotting, we can handle it together. We're stronger as a team." The words wrapped around him like a warm blanket despite the chill inside. He nodded, feeling the weight of camaraderie growing in his chest. But just as quickly, a pang of fear sliced through him again. "We need to be careful," James replied, glancing around the cafe. Each familiar face held a mix of excitement and fear. Could they really come together against whatever Carl had planned? "Then let us be proactive," Lena suggested, her voice filled with urgency as she stood taller, her earlier spark flickering fiercely. "We can plan this out. Let us not wait for Carl to act, let us show him we're united. Flag this as our safe space." The gathered patrons nodded, murmurs of approval rippling through the air like a pulse. James watched as hope ignited. Maybe Lena was right. Maybe this was the moment they needed to step out of the shadow of fear and into the light of action. "Okay," he said, feeling that fire build again. "What's the first step?" "Let us get everyone together tonight," Lena proclaimed. "A community meeting here. We'll fill the cafe with strong voices, and everyone can share their thoughts. The more we connect, the less power he has over us." Lisa's eyes gleamed with excitement. "And we'll get those cookies baking. Nothing brings people together like something sweet." Laughter erupted, effortlessly breaking the tension that had settled like fog. The idea of cookies, a community gathering, and the unshakable spirit filling the cafe brought an unexpected warmth. "Let us do it," James declared, his heart racing with renewed purpose. "Let us turn this cafe into a beacon for everyone who feels lost." As plans rolled out, James felt a rare smile tugging at his lips. For the first time in a long time, he sensed a shift not just in the cafe but in himself. With Lena back, they could do more than just survive, they could thrive. Satisfied that they had a solid plan, James stepped aside for a moment, needing a breath. The warmth of the cafe enveloped him, pulling him back to memories of laughter, pizza parties, and endless games of tag in the neighborhood. But amidst the nostalgia, his phone buzzed again, and the smile dropped. Just one more message from Carl popped up on the screen. "Hope you're all ready for a real fight. This isn't just about the cafe." James's chest tightened. Sweat prickled at the back of his neck. What was Carl really planning? The fear had returned, but it mixed with something else, a spark of determination. They had taken the first step toward community, and they wouldn't back down without a fight. "Guys, we have a bigger challenge ahead," James called out, calling everyone's attention back to him. "Tonight's meeting is just the beginning. Are you ready to stand together?" The cafe erupted into cheers, energy pulsing and swirling in the air. But as James smiled and joined the group, one thought gripped him: what if Carl had a plan that would unravel everything they fought for? A shadow loomed in the back of his mind as he felt the weight of the night ahead. How would they handle whatever came next? Would they be strong enough? The afternoon light filtered through the cafe windows, wrapping the room in a warm embrace. James felt the buzz of excitement from the crowd, voices mingled in a comforting hubbub that masked his mounting anxiety. He glanced at the clock, each tick echoing like a countdown in his head. Tonight's meeting felt monumental, but the message from Carl lingered like a storm cloud. Lena stood close by, organizing chairs and keeping the mood light. "Come on, James. We need to put out those cookies before everyone arrives," she teased, a playful grin dancing on her lips. "Right, cookies," he echoed, though his mind was elsewhere. He could almost feel Carl's sneer waiting just beyond this moment, ready to pounce. The cafe smelled of fresh coffee and sugar, the usual comfort twisted today by his unease. Setting a tray of cookies on the counter, he busied himself, if only to avoid the dark thoughts threatening to creep in. As people began to trickle in, familiar faces brought a wave of warmth. Lisa was chatting with Mrs. Gonzalez, who always brought fruit salad to the gatherings. Young kids dashed around, their laughter wrapping around James almost like a shield. He could see hope reflected in their eyes, but doubt still gnawed at him. What if Carl disrupted this fragile sense of community? "Hey," Lena called, breaking through his spiraling thoughts. "Are we ready? I want this to be a night to remember." James nodded, forcing a smile. "Yeah, let us do this." The cafe was filling up now. Conversations swirled together like different shades of paint blending to create a masterpiece. James felt the weight of his worries begin to lift, if only for a moment. When he turned his gaze back to the crowd, he spotted Mr. Thompson, an elderly man who often sat alone, looking a bit uncertain at the threshold. "Mr. Thompson, come in." James waved, heart racing as he made his way over. The old man nodded slowly, stepping inside, and James felt a flicker of excitement. "Don't be shy," James encouraged, giving him a smile that felt genuinely warm. "We're all friends here." With a nod, Mr. Thompson ambled over, and soon, they were joined by others. The energy crackled in the air as more people shared stories, laughter building slowly throughout the room. Lena stood up, clapping her hands to draw everyone's attention. "I want to welcome everyone. We're here to share ideas and talk about what we can do together as a community." As she spoke, James felt a swell of pride. Maybe this gathering could be more than just a reaction to Carl's threats. They were laying foundations for something deeper, a connection that went beyond fear. Just as conversations began to deepen, his phone buzzed once again. Every time it chimed, his heart dropped into his stomach. Glancing down, dread washed over him. Another message from Carl: "Good luck with your little meeting. You're going to need it." James squeezed his eyes shut briefly. The air shifted, laughter quieting as people noticed his sudden tension. "What's wrong?" Lena asked, her voice cutting through the tumult of emotions swirling inside him. With a steadying breath, he shared the message. The room fell silent. Eyes widened, tension flickering like an electric current across the crowd. James felt the gravity of the words land heavily, but they also ignited something else, a shared determination. "Guys," he said, voice steady, "this isn't just about fear. It's about us standing together. We'll face whatever Carl throws at us tonight. Are you with me?" A collective murmur of agreement rose, voices mixing in a crescendo of support, flushing away his doubt. "Let us make this cafe our fortress, a place of strength and unity," Lena shouted, excitement sparking in her eyes. "Together, we can handle anything." As cheers erupted again, James caught a glimpse of hope in that moment. But behind the smiles, uncertainty loomed. What would Carl's next move be? Would they stand strong against the storm ahead? The weight of the night pressed down on him, heavy yet ignited with purpose, a purpose born in that tiny cafe filled with laughter, and now, the promise of resistance. As the meeting kicked off, James couldn't shake the feeling that tonight would mark a turning point. And the true fight was just beginning. Would they discover the strength to conquer whatever Carl was plotting? As the din of conversation settled, James took a deep breath, scanning the room filled with familiar faces now united in a common cause. Lena stood nearby, her eyes bright with enthusiasm, encouraging the crowd to share what they loved about their community. Each voice built a tapestry of stories, memories, and dreams. "Who wants to go first?" she asked, her infectious smile inviting participation. A young girl raised her hand, her voice soft but clear. "I love this cafe because it feels like home. And the cookies, they're the best part." Laughter erupted, breaking the lingering tension and creating a shared moment of joy. Emboldened, another neighbor spoke up, "And we need places like this, where everyone is welcome and can feel safe." Applause followed, an echo of affirmation that wrapped around James and filled him with warmth. He felt the fire of hope, igniting what had been a flicker in his heart. But somewhere in the back of his mind, the harsh reminder of Carl's threat remained. He had pushed it aside for now, but it clawed back, demanding attention. "All right, let us talk about plans for our community garden," Lena exclaimed, drawing everyone's focus. They discussed possibilities, shared ideas, and laughed at the whims of a few children who had grown bored with serious talk and started chasing one another around the cafe. The energy flowed, and for a while, the weight of worry lifted. Still, James could feel Carl's shadow looming like an unwelcome guest. As new names and ideas flowed, he felt a longing to share the heart of what was happening, to rally the community with more than just joyful talk. "Listen," James interjected when he spotted an opening in the chatter, "I know it's all fun and games right now, but we need to take a moment to recognize that what we're doing here is powerful. Carl wants to tear us apart. He has threatened our unity, and we can't let fear decide our fate. A hush fell over the room. The laughter faded, replaced by solemn nods. People were beginning to understand the depth of the challenge they faced. "What do we do then?" asked Mrs. Gonzalez, her voice trembling slightly. James felt a rush of urgency. "We respond with love and strength. Let us start this garden, strengthen our ties, and not allow one man's darkness to shadow all this light we create together. We organize." Lena added with fervor, her hands gesturing wildly. "We show Carl that we're not afraid. We have each other. We're a community, and we'll stand and fight." Cheers erupted once more, this time louder, more defiant. A sense of solidarity washed over him as hands raised in support, an invisible thread weaving them solidly together, but just as the excitement began to build, the café's door swung open with a crash. In stepped Carl, a smirk plastered across his face, eyes sweeping over the crowd. The laughter stilled once more. "Look who we have here," he boomed, his voice dripping with mockery. "Playing community while ignoring reality, how cute." Tension surged like a wave crashing against the shore, palpable and electric. Hearts raced and breaths were held. James clenched his fists, pulse quickening. "Let us show him what we're made of," Lena whispered, and James nodded, feeling a mix of anger and courage swirl inside him. The stakes were suddenly real, and as Carl stepped further inside, the group stood, united. James could feel each heartbeat resonating with determination. They would not back down, but what would Carl do next? And would this gathering's newfound strength be enough to withstand the confrontation? The café buzzed with a palpable tension, the kind that crackled like electricity before a storm. Carl stood at the entrance, his presence casting a long shadow over the gathered community. James felt the air thicken, each heartbeat echoing in his ears. Here was the man who threatened their sanctuary, and yet, standing beside him were faces filled with defiance and hope. "Look who we have here," Carl continued, smirking at the crowd. "Playing community while ignoring reality, how cute." James felt his fists clench tighter, buried deep in his pockets, but in that moment, he remembered Lisa's courage. He had a choice, to let fear fester or to rise up and stand firm beside his friends. He stepped forward, heart thumping loudly, ready to face this intimidation head-on. "Carl, this isn't about you," he declared, his voice rising slightly above the muted silence. "This is about our community. We're here to support each other, to create something beautiful, not to be torn apart by you." A murmur of agreement rippled through the café. People were nodding, leaning in, ready to back him up. James felt a surge of strength. Carl's expression twisted into a scowl, but there was uncertainty dancing in his eyes. "You think your little community can hold up against me? You're delusional." Lisa stepped up next, hands planted firmly on her hips, eyes blazing with resilience. "You underestimate us. This café means everything to us, and we will fight to protect it. Together." The café filled with murmurs of solidarity. Small voices joined alongside Lisa's brave declaration. Everyone wanted to be heard. A young man from the back shouted, "You can't keep scaring us. We're stronger together." The energy vibrated as others echoed his sentiment. Brenna, the quirky barista with vibrant pink hair, chimed in, "We're not going to give this place up, not now, not ever." James could feel the shift in the atmosphere, like the world holding its breath waiting for the next move. Carl took a step back, realization dawning over him as the crowd formed a united front, standing strong against him. "You think this is over?" He spat, eyeing them all like a predator evaluating prey. "You think your little meeting changes anything?" "It changes everything," James countered, voice firm and unwavering. "In this moment, we're showing you the strength of our community. Your threats no longer hold power over us." With every word, the weight of fear began to dissipate. The tension morphed into something greater, a shared purpose. "You're right about one thing, Carl," Lena spoke up, her words slicing through the chaos. You can't just walk in here and bully people. This is a place built on kindness, on love, and your intimidation won't drive us away. See? James added, encouraged by her words. This is only the beginning of our fight. We'll host gatherings, bake cookies, celebrate our diversity, everything you dismiss. And if you think fear will work on us, you have no idea what you're up against. Carl's face hardened as he squinted at them, searching for cracks in their armor, yet all he found were resolute faces staring back. He shifted, feeling the tide turn against him, the once looming threat beginning to dissolve. You think you're so brave? He taunted, feigning confidence. Let us see how brave you are when the reality hits you. We already have faced reality, Carl, Lisa called out. And we choose to stand together no matter what you throw at us. With that declaration, James felt a primal surge of triumph swelling inside him. Could this be the moment they successfully claimed their power back? Carl took a step back, realizing that his confidence was met with unwavering unity. With one last flick of disdain, he turned and marched toward the exit, leaving a lingering silence behind him. As soon as the door swung shut, the cafe erupted with cheers. Laughter and joy exploded like fireworks in the night sky. James turned to his friends, disbelief washing over him, but also an overwhelming sense of gratitude. You did it! He exclaimed, emotion swelling in his throat. We did it! Lena beamed. We stood together, just like we promised. This cafe can be more than a refuge, it can be a symbol of what we believe in. James looked around, seeing radiant smiles and gleaming eyes brimming with hope. In that moment, it hit him this was their transformation. They weren't just individuals sharing coffee, they were a community woven together by shared strength, love, and determination. As the laughter echoed around him, he realized they had built something invaluable, a resolve that would not easily be uprooted again. James stepped forward, gazing at the warmth of his new family. This cafe is ours. Let us make it a haven for everyone who needs it. And let us bake those cookies. The declaration came with laughter, smiles, and a newfound energy that echoed in every corner of the cafe, drawing them closer. Together. They shouted in unison, understanding that their bond was now stronger than any threat faced. In this sacred place, as they began to plan the events to come, they were changing the narrative. They were transforming fear into strength and isolation into community. The cafe was not just a building, it was a living expression of their dreams, their battles, and their triumphs together. And as James looked around, he felt a warmth gather in his heart, no longer yearning for something more but basking in something profoundly beautiful. This was just the beginning. Now I need you to do something important. You need to subscribe now to ensure that you don't miss our next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, your support really matters. Comment below and share your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming ending. And don't wait not even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support, and only true fans understand the importance of taking these actions.